If you were told that there was a hurricane on its way to your city, would you be prepared? The United States experienced 7 hurricanes in 2017, with 4 being placed in a high category. As of today, in 2018, the United States has only experienced 1 hurricane so far by the name of Florence. Following the emergency evacuation, the East Coast is still experiencing flooding. The months June to November is known as hurricane season. During hurricane season, storms form over the warm and moist waters of the Pacific Ocean. When the winds pick up, they come together and form a circular pattern, creating a tropical storm. Once the winds reach 74 miles per hour, the tropical storm becomes a hurricane. Most of us have seen how hurricanes can impact lives, and some may have even experienced a hurricane themselves. From my experience of being in Louisiana, when Hurricane Katrina struck my hometown of Louisiana, I know how important it is to always be prepared. Today, I will talk about how to prepare for a hurricane by planning an evacuation, taking inventory of emergency supplies, and having a backup plan. Not all hurricanes are the same, and some may arrive sooner than expected. You could have a certain amount of time to prepare, or there are times where you have to leave immediately. When Hurricane Katrina struck Louisiana, many people were not prepared. In the past, usually when there was a hurricane on its way to Louisiana, the hurricane would turn last minute and head towards Florida. But this time it was different. Louisiana experienced one of the biggest hurricanes ever, a Category 5 hurricane. Lawrence Lozano mentioned in his article how Katrina intensified to a Category 5 hurricane, which Louisiana could not protect themselves from. This is why it's important to always have an evacuation plan, because it assures a quick and safe evacuation during a time of panic. On the website Hurricane Ready Gov, it mentions 2 things you should do. First, plan how you will leave, and second, where will you go if you were advised to evacuate. One thing I do recommend is to have your evacuation plan in one place, like a binder. Usually you can have your documents in here. You can also have maps and also a route and alternative routes just in case your routes are compromised during the time of need. The first step in doing so is to know the areas around you that are at risk of a hurricane and what places are safe during the time. It is a good idea to be familiar with nearby towns. Knowledge of nearby towns can make the transition easier in a time of panic. Next, you will need to decide which route you will take. When planning an evacuation route, don't just have one destination. It is key to have multiple destinations because the first route can be compromised. Developing a family plan is key. It helps the family get together once they are separated. One thing I do consider when evacuating is to plan to leave early. Taking inventory of supplies will be an important factor in preparing for a hurricane. It is said that you need enough supplies to get you by for the next 7 days. Usually, I recommend to have a backpack and also to have your supplies organized, something like this. When packing emergency supplies, it is important to take into consideration what you and your family need, especially if you have an infant. Within your emergency supply inventory, you should have the basic needs to survive: food, water, and a first aid kit. Along with these supplies, having a flashlight in hand with batteries can assist you whenever it is dark. Other items that can be put in inventory of emergency supplies is medications like pain relievers, blankets, feminine supplies, and personal hygiene items. It is a good idea to have a bag with emergency supplies and an assigned place in the home so that family members know where to retrieve the bag in a time of an emergency. If the plan to evacuate falls through, it is always a good idea to have a backup plan. Some may find themselves stuck in their homes, and if so, there are precautions to take. Stocking up on clean water and supplies will ensure that you will be okay for the next few days before help comes or the storm is over. If there are any loose items outside, it is important to keep them in the garage or inside a storage area. For example, if you have a grill or a bike, you could possibly leave that in your house or put it in the garage. If you happen to be out during the time of a hurricane, it is important to stay away from bridges and flooded areas. Also, it is important to listen to any radio or watch any alerts on your phone. Sometimes you can add an app on your phone that keeps updates with the hurricane and how close it is and the destruction that it's making. And it's key that you stay alert and aware of what's going on around you. If possible, if you're outside, seek shelter. When looking at the 3 ways to prepare for a hurricane, it can ensure your safety during an emergency. Hurricanes are natural disasters and can quickly intensify no matter what the situation is. It can be minutes to even hours, or it can be all of a sudden. The effect of a hurricane could spread more than 100 miles. This is why it's important to always prepare and have alternative routes. Know the risks in your area around you and have an evacuation plan. Hurricanes should never be underestimated and all alerts should be taken seriously. My purpose in giving this speech is to inform you on how to prepare for a hurricane. Natural disasters can happen anytime. Your ability to prepare will help in the time of an emergency.